Hey guys, this is Mrs. Mess Hall, and for this video I thought I'd mix up our holiday traditions here, and I'm going to show you guys how to do a roasted tri-tip. So we're going to start with some fresh sprigs of thyme, and if you actually hold the thyme upside down, you can brush along the stem and all the leaves will pop off. It's actually quite easy. And we're just going to go ahead and rough chop this. You don't want, huge chunks. Then we're going to go ahead and mince 3 cloves of garlic. All of this is going to actually go directly on top of our roast. It's going to give it such a fresh, very vibrant flavor. So anytime you're roasting something or you're going to sear something, you want to make sure you go ahead and pat your choice of meat down. You want to make sure it's as dry as possible. That way you really get a good crust. So, and of course, what else is going to help with a really good crust except for butter? We're going to rub this tri-tip down with some butter. You want to get it all around, but especially the top, because the butter is going to melt and drip down, and that's where you're going to get your crust, is the top of this roast. And then we're going to go ahead and sprinkle it with our minced garlic and our cut thyme, and we're going to rub that into the butter, make sure we get it distributed evenly all around. And then this is definitely my favorite trick, is some whole grain mustard. We're just going to go ahead and rub that in, with the butter and the seasonings. The mustard, especially whole grain, gives it a very unique flavor. It goes very well with this choice of meat. And then we're just going to season it, of course, with some salt, some pepper, and some onion powder. We're just going to sprinkle that all over the top and, really just get it all over and evenly coated on this roast. So we're going to bake it at 450 for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to turn the heat down to about 325 and roast it an additional 15 minutes per pound. So the sides I chose for this, I wanted to do something a little nicer, so I'm going to do some scalloped potatoes, and I'm just going to take 3 rather large russet potatoes, and we're going to just go ahead and peel them and slice them in about 1/4 inch slices. So once we got all of our potatoes cut, we're going to choose a fairly large baking dish, and we're just going to line them up pretty evenly and kind of shingle them in the baking dish and make sure that we get an even coating. Now we're going to make our cheese sauce for our scalloped potatoes, and we're just going to make a roux. A roux is a equal mixture of fat and flour. This is what's going to thicken up our cheese sauce. So you want to whisk it together pretty well. You want to make sure that there's no clumps and all the flour and fat has been incorporated. And we're just going to season it with some onion powder and some garlic. I love my garlic. And then we're going to whisk it together and allow it to cook until you no longer smell that flour smell. You want to be able to smell the garlic. You want to smell the onions and the butter. But you want to cook out that flour smell. It's very important. Otherwise your sauce will just taste like flour. And we're going to add 2 cups of milk, but we're only going to add 1 cup at first, and we're going to whisk together our roux, and you see it thickens up very quickly when you add that first cup, and then we're going to add our second cup. If you add all of your liquid at once, you're usually going to end up with a really lumpy mixture because you're not going to be able to whisk out all those lumps into all of that liquid. It's best to start with a little bit at first. So now we're going to add our cheese. I just chose like an Italian cheese blend. It's just, a mix of like mozzarella, Parmesan, you know, really good cheese blend. And you know, this is a great cheese sauce recipe. Like, you can add just some cheddar and you can use it for mac and cheese. This is a pretty basic cheese sauce recipe. And we're just gonna go ahead and pour it over our potatoes. You wanna make sure you get a good coating on all the potatoes. Make sure that they're all very evenly covered. And then we're just gonna go ahead and sprinkle it with some more of that Italian cheese blend. So then we're gonna cover it in tin foil, and I'm just gonna spray it with some Pam spray. That, you know, there's nothing worse than covering something, you know, with cheese with tin foil, and then you go to peel it off and all the cheese is burnt onto the tin foil. So this will kind of prevent that, so that way all the cheese actually stays on your potatoes. And once they're done baking, you got your potatoes soft, we're gonna take the foil off and then put it back in the oven until the cheese is, you know, that golden bubbly color. So now we're gonna prepare our asparagus. Asparagus doesn't take very long to cook, so I like to wait until the potatoes are done. The potatoes are gonna take about like 45 minutes. So we're just gonna cut the ends off of our asparagus and then peel about 1 inch up. This is gonna prevent your asparagus from being stringy at the end of it. You know, nothing's worse than you get a plate of asparagus and then everybody leaves the ends on their plate because they can't, you know, bite through them. So we're just gonna take some butter and, you know, disperse that on top of our asparagus and just, you know, season it with some salt and pepper. You know, this is gonna be pretty simple recipe and you're gonna get asparagus that's honestly to die for. And then we're gonna drizzle also with a little olive oil, and we're gonna just go ahead and throw it in the oven, and it'll roast along with our potatoes as they're browning, and they should be ready right about the same time. It's pretty great. So once our roast is done, we're gonna go ahead and pull it out of the oven and we're gonna allow it to rest for 10 minutes. And I know everybody says that, oh yeah, you know, your steak needs to rest or whatever, but not a lot of people do it. But if you don't allow your meat to rest, all of the juices are gonna flow out of it, you know, and you're gonna end up with a pretty dry, you know, roast when it would have been really juicy if you really just wait the 10 minutes and let your meat rest before you cut it. But guys, honestly, how delicious does this look? We've got, you know, a perfect medium rare roast right here. And this is honestly gonna be to die for. Look at that crust, look at all those seasonings and that garlic and that mustard that's on top of that. This is gonna be something you wanna sink your teeth into. So please hit that like button, guys, if you like this video. You know, and if you really like this video, you know, check out my page, look at my other videos, hit that subscribe button, and you know, you'll be able to get notifications of all my new videos. I post weekly videos, so please check it out.